it's important to keep files and folders and things organized in Unreal Engine, because as you can see, it's very easy just looking at the outliner here that before we even done almost anything, there is a lot of things in here. We can see that there are folders, so the lighting here is under a folder by default, and the landscape, but then already we just imported a few things, and already we start getting a list where we can see that it's starting to get messy. And also under the content browser, we can also see that there are folders made by default. So we're going to be looking at how to do this and keep things organized. So under the outliner, it seems reasonable that these things that we imported, we would want to keep them together in different folders. So we can click, in this case, on this building that has these 4 different separate objects. And we can click them all, and we can click here on the create a new folder containing the current selection, and it creates a folder that includes what we just had selected. And then we can call this whatever we want, and what we call it actually matters because this is organized alphabetically. So usually it's useful to call something SM underscore if it's a static mesh, basically meaning if it is a 3D object, because you might have other things like lights or cameras. So basically we have a folder for all of our static meshes, all of our 3D things. So we did that, it was very good. Then we have the cubes, we want to do the same, static mesh, and then we can call them cube. So that's nice and organized. And then the last thing are these things that we imported from Quixel Bridge Megascan. So we do the same, and we call them doors. So now we have these 3 different folders, and very quickly you will have a long list of different objects. So I would suggest then that you select all of those, and then you make one new one that contains all of them. And this is going to be really helpful later on. For instance, we created a new point light. You would want to keep that under lighting, I would imagine. So you can also just select things and drag them. But here we have a lot of other kinds of lights. We have a directional light, we have skylights and fogs and stuff like that we're going to look at later. So I would again suggest that you make another folder that's called light sources or something like that for just the type of lights, like point lights, or maybe for the interior of this building we would want to have a spotlight or something. So we can then again have the folder selected where you want it to end up in. Lights, spotlight. Here we have a spotlight. Actually it doesn't end up in the folder that you have selected, and you need to drag it in to where you want it. So that's for the outliner. And for the content browser, similarly, we can under all, for instance, we can just experiment by either right-clicking, and we can get a few different options, but we can also actually under all, maybe we cannot create anything there, but if we go under content, we get a few more different options. So we can here click add. We can add a bunch of different things. We want to build something from scratch. This is where you would get it. If you want to build a screen, if you want to build a texture or material, you would add it from here. But we can also add a folder. So here we can say something that we're going to need for future tutorials, which is materials coming from other 3D software. So for instance, Rhino. So we have created a folder for that. We can open it and we can create more things in here. If you want to rename it, you can right click on it and go to rename. I'm going to actually call it also imports. Yes. And the last thing that we would look at in this tutorial, or no, actually maybe we do it in the last one, in the next one.